Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Think about how things were before Ramadan. Many of us had such hard hearts, because of the dunya and all of the busy things that we have to do and all the things that we've seen on the screens. Our remembrance of Allah grew weaker. Our regard for other people grew distant. And yet, Ramadan is a time when we can soften our hearts, when we can come back to the real meaning and real return to who we are as human beings. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "In aradta talina qalbik, fa'atim al-miskin wamsah ra's al-yatim." In a hadith in the Musnad of Ahmed, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to soften your heart, then feed a poor person and rub the head of the orphan. And what does that mean? First of all, when we want to soften our hearts, Ramadan is a perfect time to do that. Softening your heart means getting the walls that we've built up to protect ourselves, or the heedlessness that has been caused by all the things, the nasty things that we've seen, or the fights that we've had, or the stress that we've had in our life, that is blocking us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, blocking us from our full spiritual potential in Islam. That softening the heart is to let those walls down, and to let that guard down, and to take that rust from the heart away, so the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can come, so we can do more good deeds, and purify our hearts to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, become better people for Allah's sake, better believers. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to soften your heart, of course it's also through fasting, and it's also through prayer and Quran. You notice as the month goes on, our hearts get softer and softer. The tears find an easy way to come down, and the prayers get longer, our du'as get deeper, right? Our gaze starts going from the world and lifting up to the akhirah. However, it includes always, softening your heart is not just about your personal worship. This is what the Prophet ﷺ is saying. It's about how you are with other people. And so that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to soften your heart, it's not about acts of worship alone. It's about feeding other people. It's about how you are with human beings, because Allah loves you. Fulfilling the rights of Allah are not fulfilled, are not completed without fulfilling the rights of His servants. So when you feed someone else, you part with something of your wealth, something of your own food, and you give it to another person. It could be as simple as saying, the last kebab that is there, I won't take it here, you take it. Maybe someone came at the end of the iftar and they're hungry and there's only one box of food left, and you give it to them for Allah's sake. But even better than that is when you look at your charity and you say, these are poor people who do not have food. These are people who cannot even fast because they're always hungry. That softens the heart, because you begin to realize what really matters in life, which is to take care of each other and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ also said, you want to soften your heart? Then rub the head of the orphan. It's not about the literal rubbing of the head. Okay, so walk around like this. It means showing mercy to someone who is unfortunate in unfortunate circumstances. Showing love and kindness to people who don't have anyone to give love and kindness to them. Why? Because in the end, we would not want to be in a situation where no one can feed us or no one can show us love and kindness. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's watching over all of us. But the way that He takes care of some people is to bring His servants from one side of the world, perhaps, or another place, and let them show love and concern and give food to that person. So in reality, when you show love for a poor person, you feed them, or softness towards someone who is in an unfortunate situation, or a child who is an orphan, then in reality, that is the love of Allah coming to that person through you. So who wouldn't want to be the conduit of love? Because in the end, you will also be that recipient of love that we need from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we are all poor in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are all hungry if Allah doesn't feed us. We are all orphaned, except through the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if Allah fulfills that. And this is part of Ramadan, to look out for your fellow human beings, not just for our selfish acts of worship. And this is how we can complete our Ramadan in a beautiful way, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Take care.
شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان